Revenge, Miles Guo arrested after visits to Congress by NFSC supporters calling for investigation into DOJ's infiltration by CCP. By Kelly John Walker. When Sam Bankman-Fried was arrested and indicted after squandering billions of his investors' money, the harmed investors cheered his arrest while the U.S. government quickly released him on $250 million bail. But when Miles Guo was arrested this Wednesday, new federal state of China supporters, whom prosecutors falsely claim are victims of Mr. Guo, stood firmly behind him, pointing to the CCP's successful weaponization of the DOJ and demanding his immediate release. The only danger that the more than $1 billion investment proceeds, belonging to NFSC supporters, face is from the SDNY prosecutors trying to confiscate all those billions by brute force. Miles Guo gave up tens of billions of his own wealth to dedicate himself to take down the CCP, as has millions of NFSC supporters. The only victims of their fight for freedom is the tyrannical Chinese Communist Party. Despite the nonviolent nature of the allegations against Mr. Guo, SDNY prosecutor Damian Williams, who also led the prosecution against Bankman-Fried, filed an insidious motion preventing Mr. Guo from getting bail, arguing the so-called flight risk, and asked for Mr. Guo to be detained until trial. Williams, a Biden appointee who previously worked at the law firm Paul Weiss before joining SDNY as a prosecutor, has strong incentives to be hostile against Mr. Guo. Like other compromised lawyers judges involved in Miles' cases, such as Despens and Ostrager, the CCP link starts with their law firms. As the first U.S. law firm to enter China in 1981, Paul Weiss has hundreds of lawyers in China with offices in Shanghai, Beijing, and Hong Kong, raking in billions representing CCP state-owned enterprises. In 2017, former Secretary of Homeland Security during Obama's administration, Jeh Johnson, then a partner at Paul Weiss, met with Mr. Guo in a bid to represent Mr. Guo's political asylum application. Unbeknownst to Mr. Guo, Johnson secretly recorded the meeting only to later leak it to the CCP. Since 2017, Mr. Guo has been sued in over 70 litigations by CCP proxies, mostly financed by 3 CCP billionaires. This deep infiltration of the U.S. justice system is dubbed unrestricted lawfare, and NFSC supporter has long called for Congress to investigate the weaponization of the justice system against Mr. Guo. Beginning in early February, a month before Miles Guo's arrest on March 15, NFSC supporters began requesting that the U.S. Congress investigate what they call lawfare. The group met with over 50 congressional offices, providing comprehensive reports detailing the CCP's infiltration inside the DOJ and requesting the Weaponization Committee to investigate. NFSC supporters also made clear to Congress that the group is not seeking any funding or other support. Freedom-loving Chinese people have a shared interest with the American people in saving America first by rooting out communist infiltration. NFSC understood that there is no freeing China without securing America first, an argument that echoed so well with the 50-plus congressmen that the CCP, in premeditated retaliation, went into overdrive against Mr. Guo. At 6 a.m. on Wednesday, March 15, hundreds of FBI agents stormed Mr. Guo's 18th-floor residence in New York. FBI took Guo under custody without bail and later caused a fire that severely damaged the property while executing a search warrant on the 18th floor. At the time of this article's publication, the FBI is still holding Mr. Guo under its custody, refusing any visitations for a full week citing COVID restrictions. Quite the damning message from Beijing to its arch-nemesis, Miles Guo. The timing of this event raises questions, as it comes on the heels of the NFSC asking Congress to investigate the allegations against Guo in the context of the CCP's weaponization of the U.S. legal system. The group's last visit to congressional offices was between March 5 to 10. Just 3 business days later, the FBI raided Guo's residence and took him into custody. Though the FBI made the arrest, the plaintiffs in the case filed in the Southern District of New York against Guo are from China, and the SDNY prosecutors were forced to admit in court that the U.S. government has been working a lot with China, in what appears to be a mostly Chinese-led prosecution against Mr. Guo. Joe Hoft of Gateway Pundit writes, the case was brought forward in the notoriously corrupt Southern District of New York. This is the same court that saw the bogus cases against Steve Bannon, Brian Kolfage, and other patriots behind the We Build the Wall effort. These men were charged in a political hit from the SDNY. Hoft continues, the SDNY is also where a corrupt Clinton judge has allowed the case to move forward, where E. Jean Carroll claims President Trump raped her in a Bergdorf Goodman store in downtown New York. Most troubling of all, as Hoft points out, the SDNY is also where the FTX case is taking place and where the Democrat-related SBF was allowed to go to his parents' luxurious home in California, rather than spend time in jail in New York after defrauding thousands of FTX customers. While Sam Bankman-Fried enjoys his parents' home, Miles Guo is, as of this writing, still being detained under arrest. This is just one more example of the DOJ's troubling two-tiered justice system. It is time for Congress to step in and put a stay on this case pending their investigation and oversight of this matter. This is not just about a Chinese dissident, or even the millions of anti-CCP followers asking for justice. This is a test of the U.S. government to see if we will address the CCP's infiltration of our own government and restore the fair and equal principles of the rule of law.